Actress Kristen Bell is currently facing major backlash over a quote tone-deaf Instagram post that she wrote for her husband Dax Shepard. The internet did not take it well, and instead of apologising, Kristen seems to be apparently doubling down. So today we're going to go through exactly what happened, why people are so upset, as well as a bit of a deep dive into other controversial behaviour the couple have been involved in the past. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. And if you like these videos, please make sure you hit subscribe to be notified when I post more content. Kristen Bell is an American actress who has appeared in several highly successful projects such as Veronica Mars, The Good Place, and she is the voice of Anna in the Disney Frozen movies. Kristen has also been married to fellow actor Dax Shepard since 2013, and they have 2 children together. The two of them are considered to be a Hollywood power couple because they're both highly successful actors, and they've been very open over the years about their marriage, their lives, as well as their struggles. Although they are a very popular couple, Kristen recently got some major backlash over a social media post she wrote about her husband. On the 18th of October 2025, Kristen posted on Instagram celebrating her 12-year anniversary with Dax. The caption of the post said, "Happy 12th wedding anniversary to the man who once said to me, 'I would never kill you. A lot of men have killed their wives at a certain point. Even though I'm heavily incentivized to kill you, I never would.'" Although this post was presumably meant to be a dark joke, the comment section was instantly flooded with people saying that this post was not only weird, but also tone-deaf because it seemingly made light of domestic violence. Some of the examples of the comments include, quote, "Just an FYI, posting this caption during Domestic Violence Awareness Month is unbelievably tone-deaf, please reconsider." Another comment said, "That's a wildly sad and insensitive thing to say, considering it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month and thousands of women have died at the hands of a man they trusted." And it wasn't just people on Instagram who addressed this controversy. The story blew up and multiple news outlets started posting about it. For example, the news outlet Dateline commented on Kristen's post saying, quote, "screenshotted." A representative for the National Network to End Domestic Violence told Page 6 in a statement that, quote, "There's nothing funny about domestic violence jokes that trivialize the very real fear, trauma and pain that millions of victims and survivors face each day." On top of that, as I mentioned previously, people in the comments were also pointing out that this post was posted in October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which seemed to add even more fuel to the fire. Although, some people in the comments defended Kristen, saying that they are survivors of domestic violence and they didn't find the post offensive because this was clearly a, quote, "goofy way of showing affection." However, the backlash against Kristen continued to intensify as the post racked up thousands of comments. Kristen didn't respond to the backlash straight away, however she did limit comments on all her Instagram posts, which some people took as a sign that Kristen was aware of the backlash but wasn't directly responding to it. The post is also still up on her account, and she has posted several other things since then. Although Kristen didn't really respond to the backlash at the time, amid the controversy, Kristen was supposed to appear on the Today Show to promote her Netflix show Nobody Wants This. However, she cancelled the appearance and no official reason was given. And during her appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, the controversy was not brought up at all. Now that it's been a few weeks since the controversial post, although Kristen hasn't officially addressed it, several news outlets have reported that Kristen has refused to apologise and is also doubling down on it. A source reportedly close to the couple spoke to the Daily Mail and told them that, quote, she, meaning Kristen, doesn't want to be told how to live her life or be bullied into doing something she doesn't want to do. Many would have liked her to apologise or to have taken down the post, but she hasn't, and the post is still there. If people aren't going to laugh about it, then it's their problem. She feels that there are bigger issues in the world than what she said. Given the chance to do it all over again, she would. The source also said that apparently her husband Dax thought the post was funny and had no problem with it. Although it should be said that this is an anonymous source in a tabloid news outlet who claims to be a friend of the couple, so it's not clear how reputable this source actually is. In a different article, another supposed inside source apparently turned on Kristen and criticised her, saying, quote, Kristen goes through her days unscathed. It seems like she treats all situations she's involved in as if she's in the right all the time. She's always had an I am better than you mentality that rubs some people the wrong way. It is also not a surprise that she hasn't apologised because she doesn't ever think she is wrong. But again, this is an anonymous source, so take this with a pinch of salt. But after all of this backlash came out about the social media post, people then started looking into Kristen and Dax in more detail and examining some old footage of them. People pointed out that the two of them seem to have a history of making potentially tone-deaf comments. For example, a social media user dug up a clip from 2012 where Kristen and Dax were promoting the movie Hit and Run, and Dax made a joke about hitting Kristen.
Drove to brunch, and the first thing I said 5 minutes into the ride, I said, this sounds like it's gonna break.
And I was very offended. And then I hit her.
And although many people at the time considered this to be just dark humour, now with what Kristen has said in her social media post, people are saying that the two of them seem to have a troubling sense of humour about certain topics. On top of that, the anonymous source that spoke to the Daily Mail said that Kristen and Dax are both pretty volatile people and can blow up at the smallest issues. They apparently don't talk for days despite living with their children, and they keep their kids in the dark about their arguments. But keep in mind that this is an anonymous and potentially unverified source. People also started digging through old social media posts and pointed out some weird things that Kristen and Dax have said over the years. For example, in an Instagram post from 2018, Kristen said that Dax, quote, mocked me in our wedding photos because I cried too many tears of joy. Dax also posted a nude photo of Kristen doing yoga in 2021, but she was covered up with a red square. Some people at the time commented saying this was a creepy thing to post. However, others have defended it and pointed out that Kristen reposted the photo onto her own account as well, so she was seemingly okay with it. Since all of this backlash happened, Kristen has done several press appearances, although she hasn't addressed the controversy directly. But in an interview with People on the 23rd of October, Kristen did talk about her and Dax's relationship. While talking about her character on the show Nobody Wants This, Kristen talked about her own marriage to Dax and said, quote, I feel like my real-life husband and I are opposites attract. But that doesn't mean we couldn't make it work or didn't want to make it work. It just meant we did have to have a lot of patience for each other to figure out what the compromises would be and a general understanding that we're probably going to have different viewpoints on almost everything and figure out a respectful way to have those discussions. But this is not the first time that people have raised eyebrows about Kristen and Dax's marriage. For example, the website The List published an article in January 2025 called Weird Things About Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard's Marriage You Can't Ignore. The article detailed several things the couple have revealed over the years, such as the fact that Kristen said that she thought Dax was a, quote, jackass when she first met him, and they had no chemistry. Then, in a different interview from 2017, Kristen revealed that after the two of them had been dating for 3 months, she knew that she was in love with Dax, but he ended up breaking up with her because he was still dating other people. But apparently 4 days later, he said that he made a mistake and they got back together. They're also very open about the struggles in their marriage, and they admitted that they enrolled in couples therapy 6 months into their relationship. Kristen also said in 2017 that she has made peace with the fact that she and Dax might break up one day, and she said, quote, "If I ever get divorced, I'm still going to be like, wow, I loved being married to that man." They also said in a podcast appearance in 2018 that, quote, "monogamy is tough because you're still attracted to other people." In 2018, Kristen praised her husband for being sober for 14 years because Dax has been very public about his struggles with substance abuse. However, Kristen later admitted in an interview that she smokes weed in front of Dax because she said he doesn't mind. But some people criticised Kristen for doing that because they said it's not conducive to helping him stay sober. And unfortunately, Dax did relapse in 2020, and Kristen said she would continue to support him. But some people criticised Kristen at the time for continuing to smoke weed, although others defended her, saying it wasn't her fault that he relapsed. There have also been some criticisms of their parenting style. For example, Kristen said that they allow their children to drink non-alcoholic beer, but some social media users pointed out that non-alcoholic beer does still contain some alcohol, so children shouldn't have it. Kristen also said that while she was on vacation in Copenhagen with Dax and their 2 daughters, who were 11 and 9 years old at the time, they let the children leave the hotel on their own and go to the park for the whole day, and Kristen said, quote, "We didn't see them for 7 hours. They were just running around Copenhagen," which some people said was irresponsible of them. In the wake of the backlash against both Kristen and Dax, with people saying they are openly problematic, people also brought up the past controversy that Dax was involved in back in 2023. Dax has a podcast called Armchair Expert, which started in 2018, where he interviews celebrities, journalists, and academics about their lives. In one controversial episode from 2023, Dax interviewed hairstylist and TV personality Jonathan Van Ness, who is most known for appearing on the Netflix reboot of the show Queer Eye. During the episode, Jonathan got upset when Dax seemed to promote several anti-trans talking points, as well as sharing misinformation. It started when Jonathan said that the New York Times is, quote, anti-trans, and they platform multiple anti-trans people. Dax disagreed and said that there is a, quote, huge spectrum when it comes to supporting trans rights. Then he said that, quote, some people are very uncomfortable about teenagers transitioning. The New York Times is challenging that. How do you know that that person's not going to change their mind? Jonathan then joked that he felt like he was talking to his dad. Dax then brought up whether it's fair to let trans athletes compete in competitions, but Jonathan shared several statistics saying that many states are banning gender-affirming care and that trans people are often targeted with violence or used as scapegoats. And Dax fired back at Jonathan and said that he was not happy that Jonathan was painting him as, quote, the enemy just because he didn't agree with him. At one point, Jonathan broke down in tears and said, quote, I'm a non-binary effing trans person. When I talk to my dad or people who say similar anti-trans things, it's hard to be cool through that. I just can't do it anymore. Later in the podcast, Dax apologised to Jonathan and said that he didn't mean to upset him. After the podcast came out, there was a lot of backlash against Dax and a lot of articles were written about it. Jonathan later alleged that the episode was actually heavily edited and several parts of the conversation were edited out where Dax had disagreed with everything Jonathan said. Apparently, it got so intense that Jonathan almost walked out of the podcast twice. But it seems that a lot of the more intense stuff was edited out, and Jonathan said Dax's comment was, quote, really gaslighty. Before the episode came out, Jonathan asked for a transcript of the episode, but he never got one. Some people online at the time even alleged that Dax had edited out some of the more incriminating things that he said to make himself look better and to try and make it look like Jonathan got upset for no reason. Jonathan later said that he and Dax were cool, but the two of them had not spoken since the podcast. And although a lot of these other criticisms against Kristen and Dax are unrelated to the recent social media post backlash, people were bringing them up as previous dramas to contextualize the current drama. Some people seem to think that Kristen and Dax have a history of being problematic or making tone-deaf comments. But others have defended the couple, saying that a lot of the criticisms have been blown out of proportion and that people need to get a life. But we'll have to wait and see if any more information comes out about the recent backlash surrounding Kristen's post about Dax, and whether it will have a detrimental effect on either of their careers. Let me know in the comments what you think of Kristen's post. And do you think it was tone deaf, or was it just a joke that was blown out of proportion? If you'd like to get early access to my videos as well as other benefits, please consider subscribing to my Patreon. It just costs a few dollars a month and it really helps support my channel, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. Please make sure you like and comment on this video to help tell the algorithm this is a great video, and please make sure you subscribe to my channel because it really does make a huge difference. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in a future video. Thank you, bye!